Hello again and welcome to Monograph. I'm your host, Jackie Clay. To wrap up our third year of Monograph, we're visiting the Gadsden Museum of Art. The museum has been open since the mid-1960s and has been serving the Gadsden community ever since. We'll sit down with museum director and curator Ray Wetzel and gallery coordinator Autumn Baugh. Before we get started, here is Birmingham-based DJ and music producer A.P. Suaze.
I cut hair and I play records for a living. That might not sound glamorous to some people, but to me it's kind of everything, you know? And my family eats off of it, so that's perfect. Birmingham Classic Cuts is a barbershop inside of Seasick Records that I co-own with Newman Evans. A barbershop is, it's a natural thing. Like hip hop's about being fresh. Even if your clothes aren't the best, like you wear them a certain way, you tilt your hat a certain way, you move a certain way. Like it's a flavor. I did start playing instruments really early on. When my dad would go to different churches to preach, he would make me bring my guitar. He would write these Christian songs, and he used to listen to like these Argentinian funk groups from back in the day, and then he'd say, I want you to do that solo in here. And I'm like, Dad, is God cool with this? Because I am, this slaps, you know? I remember wanting to make hip hop, and I was just passionate about it. I didn't know music well enough to know that they were sampling. So my buddy and I back home somehow convinced our pastor to let us record in the church. Shout out to her, because she was really progressive for her time. So we started trying to play songs from A Tribe Called Quest, like the Beat Nuts, and when we finished, popped the tape in and we would listen to it, we were both like, this is just awful. We suck. Why can't we get these sounds? Just by chance one time, I turned it off and we turned on the radio, and you know when you're young, you want to be you want to sound as impressive as possible, so we're like, let's throw on the jazz station, you know, because we're that much cooler than everybody else, which we weren't, obviously. But I know this song came on, and it blew my mind. I turned it up all the way because in the background of the song, I can hear a sample to a hip hop record, and I was just like, oh snap, that's what it is. For hip hop it's like a collage of sounds, right? My process starts with looking for records. So I find records that either look interesting, and after you learn about different musicians and different sounds, you start recognizing the players on the record, like, okay, so-and-so played keys on this or bass on this. So you start developing an eye for finding records and an ear for it as well. So you run it through your sampler, and you find little pieces that speak to you. Chop it up is what we call it. It's just basically, I guess, truncating the sounds, and you add drums to it, and you add sometimes other records that kind of match the tones or the BPMs and stuff like that. It's really nerdy, which is funny because hip hop is such a aggressive, cool thing, you know? And then once I bounce it into my laptop from my sampler, I start playing instruments over it. It kind of makes you feel like you're a part of something bigger. If you take 6 seconds from like a jazz band, for those 6 seconds, you're part of that band, you know, and you're also the band leader because you've reconstructed it and, done something different. That's one way to look at it. The whole time that I've been making music is I'm just really kind of trying to capture a feeling, right? As humans, we go through so many emotions, and I work really fast. I don't sit and look for sounds for too long. I find something that made me feel a certain way, I commit to it, and I try to get it done as quickly as possible. And it's not always the cleanest, and it's not always the best. Sometimes I don't even track things out. I just record it all at once, and I'm okay with that. I don't need it to sound perfect, because again, the goal is to capture that moment, that feeling. DJing or spinning records in front of a crowd and playing my beats in front of a crowd are two totally different things. DJing is all about you're playing one record here and you're listening to this side on your headphones, and you're just trying to match a snare to this one. And once the snares match, you can let it go, and you have like a marriage of two records at one time, which is insane. As an artist, I'm super hard on myself. So, I don't talk too much about the stuff I'm working on, mainly because I just want to see it come to fruition first. And then once it's done, then I'll share. The music I make is just really for myself. And though I want people to hear it, it's still a very personal thing. My dad passed away and I made a project for him. It's called Cross and Switchblade. I went to Los Angeles when he got sick. It was like a time capsule of that first week. I can't listen to it. But somebody who I know lost their dad recently and called me and said, hey man, I listened to the album, I understood it, I know exactly what it's about, thank you. So that's my favorite record. That's my most personal record, and I'm super proud of it. I think it's my best work, for sure. It's funny how like your spirit will speak to you and ask you to create sometimes. In the beginning, when you start working on music, you're gonna emulate everything that all your favorite artists do. Once you get past that point, then you get to a point where you're like, okay, well, but let me like personalize this sound a little bit more and let me be honest with who I am, and that can't be bad because it comes from you, right?
Hi,
I'm Autumn.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jackie.
Nice. Welcome to the museum.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good. It was a great trip here.
Yeah?
Yes, fall is here. So tell me about the Gadsden Museum of Art.
So the Gadsden Museum of Art has been here for a while. We have 5 different galleries in which we show art. We have a history exhibit on our 3rd floor. We have 3 floors overall, but we try to change out our art every 2 months, and we have a variety of different artwork that comes into the museum. We try to show a bit of everything. In this gallery, we have very contemporary works.
And so do you have an application process?
Yes, we have that on our website. The applications go straight to me, and then I begin talking to the artist and seeing what gallery fits with them and where they fit into our calendar.
So if I'm an artist in Alabama, I know I need to visit the website, and I know you'll receive that inquiry, but like, what are the things that you're looking for? What are the shows that kind of get you excited,
So typically what I look for has nothing to do with the medium. You can be a photographer, you can be a painter, you could just be a fine artist of any kind. But what I typically look for is something with a story, something with background, something that you can explain that has to do with your history, something that has depth to it in any possible way.
Cool. So I remember you telling me that you are from Gadsden also. So
I grew up here.
Yeah. Did you have a history of visiting this space?
Yes, I actually have been visiting the Gadsden Museum of Art since I was a kid. It was very different. It's gone through a lot of changes, but just to be able to say that I work here now and like how it is now compared to what it was when I was little is just amazing. It's just to see all the difference.
Would you say it influenced you?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. So growing up in Gadsden, it's kind of a small town, and when I was little, we didn't have a huge art scene. And so I've always been an artist since I was little, and just to see things and get inspired, sometimes I would come here. And just to see the art here, like when I was little, compared to the kind of art that we exhibit now, is just, it feels very personal because of my art that's grown, and this place has also grown as well. It kind of shows how the art world itself can change.
Well, tell us about your practice. So like, what are some of the medium you work in?
So I am a painter. I'm a fine artist painter. I work mostly in portraiture as of recently. I like to experiment with color. So I did a series recently that is portraits of my family, and I did them all in different colors. Like mine, I'm pink, and my dad is yellow, and my mom is orange, my brother is green, and my sister is blue. But I'm also a graphic designer, so I work a lot in digital media. So working in something very hands-on and very digital it's a challenge, but I really like it.
Is there anything that you want folks to know about being an artist in Gadsden and the art scene in Gadsden?
Yes, so a lot of things that people don't know, and I didn't really know growing up, there is more than you think. So the process of getting a show here is easier than you think. We are here to help you. We want new artists to come in. We want new types of art to come in. And all you have to do is really look, and it's not that difficult. Just a quick Google search, or just reaching out to us, and we can help you with, just reaching out to other people.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Next, we'll hear from Indonesian-born and Montgomery-based visual artist Chintia Kirana. When we return, we'll talk with Gadsden Museum of Art's director and curator, Ray Wetzel.
I'm really interested in deconstruction and reconstruction of materials. Taking, something that may as well be trash and then turn it into something else. Rebirth. I'm from Jakarta, Indonesia. We have to leave the country because of the riots and political turmoil. And since my family are Chinese Indonesian, we were targeted. Basically. So my parents lost everything, we lost everything. Living in Alabama, I'm more interested in how we can kind of come together, and not necessarily just language, but what really binds us as a community. Everybody feels, the same emotion, like anger, sadness, happiness, joy, and all of the hope and dreams. So a lot of the work that I'm making is trying to kind of, find a common ground and common interest. I guess all my work is about, it's quite autobiographical, on one part of it. I'm always in between things, in between Christian and Buddhist beliefs, East and West, and I'm in between. It's a balance of things, it's a balance in life. So yeah, a lot of the materials I use are items accumulated over the years, the eggshells, the ashes, and then eventually those items become the painting or the drawing that you see around the studio. So growing up as Chinese Indonesian, we always have these rituals. My grandparents from my dad's side is Buddhist, and then from my mom's side is Christian. So the Buddhist family member will always have these rituals in the morning, praying with their incense and all of these things. So I started collecting those incense, and then I would take those burning, and I would collect them, and I would create ink. And then since after my grandparents passed away, I started using those ink to create paintings, a series of work called Letter to Loved Ones, because really since then I saw them only one more time after that visit. So this series is encompasses of all the things that I wanted to say to them that I never get this chance to say. But hopefully, because I'm using this ashes that are being sent, hopefully the message, come across. I have many different interests and many different themes, but the main theme is passage of time and how memory and identity kind of build upon that. I started thinking about how do I represent life in a more simplified form. Then it started with a circle. A circle is a beginning, but it could also mean an ending, but it is a cycle. So from there, I started creating work just focusing on circles, and then thinking about what other materials I can use to simplify life and the fragility of it. I hope that my art provides just that quiet moment just to kind of slow down. And that's where I'm at right now, is making work that would be able to give a sense of space and place to contemplate, to slow down.
Hi, and we're back here at the Gadsden Museum of Art with the director and curator, Ray Wetzel. How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. So tell us a little bit of history about the Gadsden Museum of Art.
So the museum has been around for over 60 years. It started as Gadsden had a large following of art, and they formed this kind of Gadsden Art Association. And so it was mainly due to the amount of industry that used to be in the area. So there was a lot of steel mill, cotton mill, all kinds of industry. And so people that were attracted to this also wanted something to do. So they started the Art Association, which led to the foundation of the museum. And it's changed. So originally it was just art and just about local art and community. And so slowly it's kind of taken on history and other kinds of things to where we are now, which is a community-based art facility where we show local artists as well as, national and, regional artists.
So do you get the opportunity to collaborate with other kind of regional arts organizations or regional organizations in the
Definitely.
state?
I made it a big part to travel and meet people. So as soon as I got hired, I went to Low Mill and met the exhibits coordinator at the time there, and then I started going all over the state and meeting people face to face, and that's been very helpful. Keeping those relationships have been and they're fantastic, but the thing that I've noticed the most is 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was this thing of tearing down the arts. It was very hoity-toity, and people weren't working together. And then you have Sarah Gardner Armstrong at Ground Floor Contemporary. You have Peter Prince at Space 111. But I'm in contact with all of them, and it's fantastic. So. And
I've heard a rumor, or maybe even attended an exhibition of your work.
Yes.
Tell us about your practice and what it means to be an artist, and also a curator and a director.
So it's changed over the years. I started painting when I was 12 years old, and it was just to get something out or whatever. And but now it's just, I guess, just a commentary on my life, basically. And so trying to divorce the curator-director part of it and just doing what I want instead of something that's kind of palatable.
Mm-hmm. As I alluded to a moment ago, I did have the opportunity to see your exhibition. Tell us just a little bit more about that.
Shame-Based Man comes from it was a comedy record in the 90s from one of the members of Kids in the Hall. His name's Bruce McCullough. I noticed that a lot of correlation were happening with the song titles. So I started building artworks based on the song titles. I turned it into a party with all these dark themes. So it was all these memories being unlocked from going to therapy, but there's all these thousands of balloons in the room, and I even screwed the paintings to the wall to ensure that people kicking the balloons and children there wouldn't knock the paintings off the wall. So
because they were rather large.
Yeah, they're rather large. Yeah. But it was fantastic. Getting that out was fantastic, and I was very happy with the results.
What was it like being an artist and hanging a show at Walnut Gallery versus your experience of having artists come to you and you facilitating?
It was weird. So I've been hanging art shows since I was 19, 18 years old, and I'm 37 now. And when I was hanging the show, I couldn't even hold the hammer correctly. I was just I was too close to the work. And so here, I'm very easily saying you need to move this doesn't work, we need to cut this, that kind of thing. And there, I was just a little kid and having to make decisions to cut. So I was on the other side of the thing, which made me afterwards very soft when I didn't like something an artist did.
Are there things that you want folks to know about the art scene in Gadsden?
But I just want people to know that we exist. We're free to the public, and it's fun. There's some cool things here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here today.
Thanks.
That ends our third season of Monograph. We can't wait to see you again in 2022. To take us out, we'll learn more about Birmingham-raised jazz musician Amari Ansari, who now calls New Orleans home.
My name is Amari Ansari. I am a musician, a composer, and a music teacher. On any given day, regardless of how I feel, I'm always inspired by the idea that there will always be creative minds living in the world. The human condition essentially is what draws me. Just the need to express ourselves, the need to like communicate and connect with other people, regardless of language, background. The human connection is kind of what inspires me. You always have to pay homage to those before you. In order to know where you want to go, you have to know where you've been. It's super, super important to be aware of where your music sits, where your creativity sits in this realm of consciousness. Music has always been around. My grandmother was a big band singer. My mom grew up in the church playing organ and flute as well. So the first instrument I tried to play was flute. And when I was 8, I started playing saxophone. It was the first instrument I've ever really dedicated my time to. So at the age of 9, I met my mentor. His name is Dr. Frank Adams Sr. He was the lead alto player for the Birmingham Heritage Band. I met him through my grandmother, and he was my mentor up until his passing, and he taught me a lot about music. Doc taught me a lot about life. He taught me a lot about what it meant to be a responsible human being that like contributes to society beyond just music. I mean, it's about the music, but spiritually it's about creating something that is more than yourself. If anything, for my music, I want people to feel joy, to feel jovial, to feel happy, to be like spiritually moved in a way that inspires them to like create something, to like search for something in their own day-to-day life. Whether you want to be the best dancer, or you want to be the best omelet maker, or if you want to be the best driver, anything you want to do it to your best ability and like really enjoy it. I want people to like leave after they hear me play, after they listen to my music, and be inspired to essentially be a better version of themselves. I originally came to New Orleans for school. Actually, I got the Ellis Marsalis scholarship to go to the University of New Orleans. So I came down. It's like, man, I really love the city. I really love the energy. I love the people in the city. Also, I love the history behind the city, musically, culturally speaking too. And also there's just a lot of personality to the city. I stayed here. I've been here, I guess it's been 12 years I've been living in New Orleans. But it's different. It's different than like my Birmingham roots. I love everything that Birmingham has instilled in me growing up. And New Orleans is just like an addition to that. Currently, my main gig is the St. Paul and the Broken Bones, and I love that. They're some of my, honestly, oldest friends in Birmingham. The bass player I've known the longest, Jesse Phillips. I actually bought, if you can see, this saxophone from Jesse Phillips when I was 9. And Jesse actually, he stayed in touch with me. He like really showed up. And eventually I was like, man, I want to see what you're doing. And lo and behold, this is where I am now. I think last year or the year before, we were on tour maybe 175 days out of the year. So we do a lot of work. So when you're on stage and you're performing with other musicians, there's a lot of trust you have to have. It's like you're holding each other's hands, really. But you have to at least agree on a lot of different things in very split seconds. It's a conversation without words. A lot of it is body language, a lot of it is eye contact, a lot of it is so split second that you make the decisions before you even realize you're in that position. Even to the students that I teach, like I want them to feel, and I want them, the people I play with, the students to feel that they can trust me. As a person, but also as like a creative mind. Like, I got you, don't worry about it. I love when people talk about goals as a musician or just anything with the creative mind because it's a passion. So you want to do it every day, but you don't want to burn yourself out. So you have to like train yourself to like rest your mind, to ease your mind. But then when you're at 100%, 100%. If you're going to do that, do that. If you're working, work. But if you're relaxing, relax. I know for me, it brings me a lot of peace of mind. Like setting goals, I have a vision board, I write things down. It really helps me like get to the next level. 2019, I released my debut EP, Voices, which is an ode to all of the ancestors that have come before me that allow me to do what I do today. Even the song content, like the titles of the song, Kinfolk is one of the singles I released that is an immediate homage to like Doc, Frank Adams, and my grandmother, even my great-grandfather, who I actually didn't meet, but they say I'm like the reincarnation of. For the EP release, I had some of my closest friends, a bunch of people that to me are great musicians, but also great people. It's good to hang out with people that you love, people that are close to you spiritually, people that push you as a musician to like search for things. You know, as artists, we're constantly searching for personal worth, efficacy. There's a lot to be found in like that journey for purpose, essentially. So being able to do that with friends and brothers in like a community that is as rich as the New Orleans community is a privilege. To work as a musician is like, it's a beautiful thing, but it also comes like with any career with its downfalls. Like, if I'm being honest, there's a lot of highs, but also a lot of lows. The beauty of that, you have to be able to appreciate the highs when they are there and understand that when you are in the low, it won't always be like that. Many times as musicians, we define ourselves by like our successes in the music industry. But the music industry within itself is a somewhat fickle industry. You need to be able to play music. You need to be able to teach music. You need to be able to write music. You need to be able to record music. Again, my mentor did a very, very good job, Dr. Frank Adams, in instilling in me that, yeah, this will be hard, but if you love it, if you do what you believe is your best, then good things will come to you. And I would like to think that's what I've been doing so far.